Welcome to Culture on I-24 News. I'm Tal Heinrich, sitting in for a dad grabber. Thank you for joining us. And today on our show, we will talk to the director of Tel Aviv's Zemack Gallery celebrating its 5th birthday. Hitler's Mein Kampf has passed into the public domain. And we'll hear about Aretha Franklin singing for President Obama. The Zemack Contemporary Art Gallery in Tel Aviv was established 5 years ago out of a desire to give unique expression to art created by established and internationally recognized Israeli artists. This month, the gallery is celebrating its 5th anniversary by showcasing a special collective exhibition which presents the work of the gallery's entire artist arsenal. And the name of the exhibition is also quite interesting. It is called 40-30-20. Joining us now in studio is Yaron Haramati, director of the Zemack Gallery. Thank you so much for coming here. First, explain to us the title.
Yeah, so the title 40-30-20 is actually, it's a quite interesting story because every year we used to celebrate our birthday in a special exhibition. And as you mentioned, this year it's the 5th anniversary, so I thought it's a good opportunity to look back and see what we've accomplished.
So the 40 stands for?
Yeah, so when I was looking back on all the activities we did, I realized quite an amazing numbers. We did 40 exhibitions, 30 art fairs, international art fairs, and 20 publication, which means artist book and catalogs, which is quite amazing. And the idea of the exhibition is to take each solo exhibition from our artists, an exhibition that I personally liked, and presenting them again to take a few examples of each exhibition, to present them in a different way, to present the catalog and the book that was accompanied with the exhibition.
Now, let's talk a bit about the gallery itself. What's unique in the Zemack Gallery, and what's unique, maybe, what characteristics define the artists of this gallery? What's special about them?
So I think, going back to this number, I think this is what's unique about Zemack Gallery, because if you look at this number, they're incredible. I mean, yeah, okay, for the exhibition, but the 30 international art fair is something that I think no gallery in Tel Aviv has so many art fairs. And this is what's unique about Zemack, because we're facing the international art scene, and we're interested in exhibiting our artists and expose our artists to the international scene, which means 5-6 art fairs a year. Every art fair, we expose our artists to new collectors, to new audience. And
you also bring international artists here to Israel, right?
Yeah.
So what's the balance in between exposing the artists, making your artists, I mean, famous and popular in the locally in the Israeli scene, or bringing international artists here? How do you balance in between?
Yeah, so it's an interesting question, because I think if I'm looking back through these 5 years, our main activity was to take our Israeli artists and to expose them to the international scene. But from now on, I think we've done a pretty good job in terms of exposing our artists. And now our next stage is to bring these international artists to the local scene.
This will be in the next 5 years?
Yeah.
The 10th anniversary will...
Yeah, 10th anniversary.
No, I'm joking. I hope it will happen for you before. I want to ask you one more thing. Is there a certain difference with working with Israeli artists and working with international artists, or is it all the same? Same family, the family of art?
Yeah. So actually, a lot of us use the terms Israeli artist and international artist. Also myself sometimes, but I don't like this division, because especially our Israeli artists are international as well. I mean, for example, we have an artist, Eran Shakin. Of course, he's an Israeli, but he's exhibiting all over the world. Or Igal Ozeri, exhibiting all over the world. He's living now in New Jersey, and you can find his work in collection worldwide. So yes, he's an Israeli, but he's also an international
And
artist.
Yaron, can you maybe point out several occasions or several exhibitions or international cooperations that you did within these 5 years? Something particular that you want to mention? Maybe personally, something that you liked the most?
So actually it's hard to pick because we did so much international collaboration. I think if I'm looking, we had a very good collaboration with the Pace Gallery, a very, very successful gallery from New York that we found this method of collaborating, or we can call it gallery sisters, that we can bring them our artists, they can bring us their artists, and the collaboration was fantastic. In addition, we had an exhibition for Vic Muniz, which is a Brazilian artist, considered one of the top artists living today. We had a very big solo show for him. The solo show was we gather artworks from all over the world. We looked for the most significant artworks, and we borrowed from a very important collection because we wanted this specific artwork. So it was amazing.
I want to ask you one more thing, another sort of balance between the world of art and the world of making money. After all, a gallery is a business.
Yeah.
So how do you go about that?
Pretty well. Yeah, I know this issue, and a lot of people in the art world speaking about this is a commercial gallery. This is not a commercial gallery. I don't understand this again the division between them. Most of the galleries I know are commercial galleries, and after all, yes, it's a business, and I believe that artists should make a living of their art. I don't like the romantic notion of
art for art.
Yeah, art for art. I mean, there's place for everything. If somebody wants to make art just for art, yeah, it's welcome. But for me and the artists we are working with them,
all right.
They're artists in a full-time job, so they need to earn money. And
well, on that note, thank you so much for this interview, Yaron Aramati. Thank you for coming here, and we wish you happy birthday, Zemack Gallery.
You. Join us on Friday.
All right, and moving on. Since the Nazi defeat in World War II, copyright law has been used in Germany to prohibit the publication of Mein Kampf, the notorious anti-Semitic book written by Adolf Hitler, in which he set out his ideology. But this changed starting this January 1st, as a new edition with critical commentary hit the shelves. I-24 News correspondent Ayman Sikzek with more on the controversial story.
In the mid-1920s, Adolf Hitler published the 2-volume manifesto Mein Kampf to almost zero public interest. It would be more than a decade until Hitler would become the National Socialist leader that would take over Germany and initiate the systematic murder of Europe's Jewish population. Only in retrospect did his once forgotten book become of any interest to the study of Germany during the Nazi era.
More than 70 years after its initial publication, Mein Kampf continues to be a mythical book, both for researchers and parts of the Western world. But with the international condemnation of both Nazism and the Holocaust, is there still reason to fear this book? We're here at Tel Aviv University in Israel, where most Holocaust survivors came to find out more.
I think everything that can be presented to the public should be presented to the public in order that the public should confront it, and of course in order to be studied. For example, the protocols of the Sage of Zion, for example, which is a much more dangerous book, that too should be presented to the public.
So what impact might a republication of Mein Kampf in January 2016 have on the masses in Europe? Professor Shlomo Zand illuminates what he calls a far greater danger in the continent.
What is dangerous today? It's much more a book like the book of Warbeck, Submission, than the book Mein Kampf of Hitler. because we are today, in the beginning of the 21st century, in a kind of atmosphere more and more anti-Muslim.
And yet, this is not to say Zand is not concerned about anti-Semitism, although from an entirely different source.
Yes, anti-Semitism exists, but it's not, you have to know, it's not a public political anti-Semitism. There are crazy young people, and if I worried something today, is that the fact that the Israeli-Palestinian conflict is exporting a new hate in the ghettos around Paris, around London, against Jews.
So why is there such panic about Mein Kampf, and what can be done in anticipation of it being reissued? Professor Shlomo Aronson is less complacent about the potential danger, notwithstanding the book's noted handicaps.
It can be dangerous if you take out the book very few passages that are still irrelevant. And therefore, when you publish the book, you should add to it the apparatus, the academic, scientific apparatus, which exists. Everyone was under an obligation to buy the book, which made Hitler a very rich man. And at the same time, very many Germans never read it to the end. They got bored, and after a while, the book was standing in the library, but nobody read it to the end. So the big question for the historian about this book, who read it in God's name? The non-Germans in Germany at the time were Jews and Gypsies. So the Germany of today and Mrs. Merkel's remarkable behavior, this is a new Germany.
A new Germany, and indeed a new Europe since the late 1930s, and an old book with one consistent criticism.
I don't know why they won't like to read the book, because it's one of the most boring books I ever read.
It's a very bad book. It's even not a good propaganda book.
It seems that with regards to the book's qualities at least, history has had the last word.
In a moment, we will be joined by Lauren Iso, but first, here is our cultural recommendation for today.
Legendary blues musician Booker T. Jones will appear in Israel this week for the first time. Jones, leader of the soul and R&B band Booker T and the MGs, has enjoyed a career that has spanned over 5 decades. He won 3 Grammy Awards, and in 2007 he received a Lifetime Achievement Grammy Award. A multi-instrumentalist, Jones is most recognized with the electric keyboard, which he currently plays. In 1962, Jones co-wrote his best-known song, Green Onions, a famous blues instrumental that is instantly recognizable and has been used in many ads, TV shows, and films, including The Blues Brothers.
Lauren Iso, I-24 News correspondent. Hi.
Hi.
What do you have for us today?
Well, today I have the pleasure of talking to you about some of the music industry's biggest divas.
Diva is always a good thing.
Of course, like us divas sitting here. But anyways, so the biggest diva of all time, I would have to say Aretha Franklin. I'm sure you've heard the name before. Most of her music was actually came out way before I was born. But she performed in Washington, D.C. at the Kennedy Center Honors.
Not only performed, but also made President Obama cry.
Exactly. She made not only President Barack Obama cry, but lots of people sitting in the audience. So this event happens once a year, and it honors American artists who contribute to American culture. Mm-hmm. So she was doing this in honor of Carole King. It was, she's 73 years old, and the pipes on her are like you have never heard in your life.
Amazing.
Like, she's incredible. So you should definitely take a look at that
Still
performance.
has the energy in her.
So much energy, and she looks amazing. All right, moving on to another diva, a Canadian diva, Celine Dion.
Oh, yeah.
Who has her residency in Vegas. She has a show almost every day in
it's
Vegas.
still there?
Still going on.
Still
She did
going
take a
on, huh?
hiatus when she was taking care of her sick husband, but now she's back, and she had a New Year's Eve performance where she actually surprised the audience and did a cover of Adele's very famous song, Hello. So we have a clip of that, which I'd like to take a look at.
Hello, can you hear me? I'm in California dreaming about who we used to be when we were younger and free. I forgot.
Well, the original one, I think it's better, but it's nice.
I mean, definitely not my favorite cover, but okay. And moving on to our last diva, Beyonce.
All right.
There is really exciting reports that she is actually penning and starring in her own movie, which is, I mean, you know, she's obviously after her Oscar, but it's a really fascinating story about a woman who lived in the early 1800s from South Africa, and she had some sort of condition that made her behind extraordinarily big.
All right, Lauren
So-
Izzo. That's an extremely interesting detail that you just revealed. Thank you for watching us. You can see past shows at i24news.tv. See you soon.